Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Wayward Lasses All the Things podcast. I am your host tonight. My name is Courtney, and I'm joined by my wonderful mother, Amy.
Just yours?
Our wonderful mother, Amy. I'm sorry.
Hi. Hi, guys. I'm just playing with you, Courtney.
And my sister, Brittany.
Hello, sister.
And so today's episode is really, really special. We have the privilege of sitting down with my pastor and my mentor, Martha Fry. Martha, welcome.
Yay.
Hi, excited to be here.
So Martha is not only a pastor and a teacher, but she is also a certified health coach, neuro coach, author, podcaster, fitness enthusiast, and the list goes on and on. So we're going to get into all of that tonight. But before we do, we like to break the ice a little bit on the podcast by doing a round of trivia. So, Mom, would you like to take it away?
Yes, I will. I shall. Okay, this is Finish the Lyric.
Oh, do we have a decade?
No, I don't. I think this is like everything.
So are there buzzers for this? Do we just
Just
yell it out?
All out if you know.
Okay.
And I'll try and keep it to 3. Okay. Oh, no, this one's easy. All right. No, I don't want to meet you nowhere. No. I don't want none of your blank.
What?
Time.
It's the way she says it. She says it like...
It's scrubs.
Time is correct.
It's scrubs.
Yes.
Oh, I don't want no scrubs. Oh my God.
Yes,
Yeah.
time. It's I don't want none of your
I didn't
time.
get that one.
Oh.
That was...
Okay.
I got it.
Okay. How about this one? I was working part-time in a 5 and dime. My boss was Mr. McGee. He told me several times that he didn't like my kind because I was a bit too...
Mom, what genre are these
I know it.
songs?
It's the way you say it.
You know it's got to kind of rhyme if it's a song.
Greasy, McGee, greasy. I know this song.
You
But
do.
can you tell us?
Is it...
Can you tell us who the singer is?
It's Prince.
Yeah.
Purple Rain? No, I'm just kidding.
A song.
Can you say it? Can you say the lyrics one more time now?
One more time. I was working part-time in a 5 and dime. My boss was Mr. McGee. He told me several times that he didn't like my kind because I was a bit too...
I can hear it in my head, but I don't have it.
What is it? What is the lyric, Mother?
Because I was a bit too leisurely. Raspberry Beret. Leisurely?
No.
Yes? No. Okay.
Sorry.
All right. This will be easy. The last one. Because this is Thriller. Thriller night.
Michael Jackson.
Good.
And no one's going to save you from the blank about to strike. You got the singer. No one's going to save you from the blank about to
What
strike.
is that word? Thriller. No one's going to save you from the...
Thrill?
Da, 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 da,
I don't know.
da, da, da,
I don't think I ever sang that part.
I've got it.
That's it.
I don't know the word.
I didn't know what that word was. I always sang it differently.
What is it? Martha, do you have any guesses?
Actually, I did say.
Nothing. I got to get to the chorus. You know what I mean? You know how you kind of hum along and you get to the chorus and it's like, hey, you know.
No one's gonna save you from the beast about to strike.
From the beast about to strike.
That's what he says? I think you need to do another one. Martha needs to get one.
Oh my goodness. We may be here a while.
Okay. How about this one? And it's so sad to think that she don't see what I see. But every time she asks me, blank, 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 I say,
I got it, but I'm going to give you.
Do I look okay? Oh, sorry.
you are supposed to give her a chance.
I forgot.
Do I look okay?
Yes. Is it Bruno Mars?
Do I look okay?
Oh my goodness. Oh.
Uh,
I think the
You guys want one more?
The 80s genre was really good last time.
Do you have an
Oh, I
80s
didn't-
song, Mom? I like it because I'm winning.
Yeah.
This is kind of 80s.
I'm like, I'm out.
All right, how about this
Last
one?
one.
Daddy, if you could only see just how good he's been treating me, you'd give it some blank right now.
Is that Madonna? Like a virgin? I don't know the word, but there you go. There you go, Martha. I gave you the song and the author.
Is it Like a Virgin or Papa Don't Preach?
Papa don't preach.
Oh, Papa Don't Preach. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know the lyric though. This was
Yeah, I'm out with the lyric.
This was hard,
No,
Mom.
no.
This was hard.
Sorry.
You're fine.
Okay.
What's the
It
lyric?
was blessing.
Oh, give me your blessing.
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 Okay. Well,
All right. One more, because I think you'll get this one.
no.
I do. I want your ugly. I want your disease. I want your everything as long as it's blank. No? Oh, darn it. I guess because I
know
see
it.
the words.
Oh boy.
All right. No, sorry. I thought
I know
was
what it is.
Free Lady
It's
Gaga.
Lady Gaga.
All right.
free. It's free.
Love,
It's the Lady
love,
Gaga.
love.
All right, we're done.
We're done now. Anyway,
Sorry.
that's okay.
Next.
Oh my goodness. Well, we tried. We tried. Brittany, I think it's safe to say you won that round. We'll have a rematch next week. Rematch. Anyway.
Yeah. I kicked your butt this time,
You
Court.
did. You did. It's the way Mom says it. She says she actually sounds like a robot, and I can't. There's no musicality in her voice. So I'm trying to get it, and I just can't. So I'm like Martha. I need to hear the chorus. I need to.
I know, like
I need something a little more.
something.
Well, anyway, all right. Well, that was fun. So shall I use your word, Brittany? Let's hop right into it. So, Martha,
Yes.
there's so much to talk about. So I'm going to give you the floor right now to just introduce yourself to our audience. Tell us a little bit about yourself and all the wonderful things that you do.
Oh, wow. Okay. So let me see if I can keep it short and then we'll go from there. But so just some interesting facts is I actually grew up a preacher's kid. And then, and I said I would never marry a pastor. And so I married a youth pastor and who became a pastor. So Matt and I started, our church, Hopefront, 25 years ago. We have 3 adult children. And, but in that, just kind of in my life journey, even being a preacher's kid, everything wasn't rosy and stuff. And so, when I kind of got into adulthood, just realized like my thinking wasn't right. I don't know, just like, you just kind of get like, you feel like you're stuck or something, So anyway, kind of went on this, freedom journey and what I kind of realized is as I was getting healthy and finding freedom emotionally, it began to affect me physically. And I grew up, I had eczema like my whole life. Like I just don't ever remember not having chronic eczema, some are always on my body, and did the whole medical route. And if you've ever had eczema, you're going to get steroids. Steroid creams, Benadryl, steroid creams thin your skin, Benadryl, maybe a shot. I mean, it's the same thing. And you kind of live in this little hazy world from the Benadryl. So I went more I said, okay, medical world's not helping me at all. So let me go alternative. So I went more the alternative route, and through diet and supplements. And then one of my alternative doctors said, if you need medicine, we're going to build your body up enough that it can handle it. And through diet and exercise, supplements, exercise, all the healthy things, my eczema is gone. And if it ever comes back, I know exactly why. I know what I've eaten. I know what to do. And so, so that it's just kind of this soup pot of, just studying God's word. What does God have to say about health and healing? Kind of going more alternative. And during that, my body's healing. I'm losing weight. I'm dealing with emotional things. So I don't know, just out of all that, I really have started a journey of helping, especially women, find freedom. And so we start off with health, because you've got to, if you can kind of conquer something in your body, it helps a little bit more emotionally. And usually once you start in your body, then the emotional comes, And I'm a firm believer, and always have been, in that, we're transformed by the renewing of our mind. And so your mindset has to be involved in there. So in the last year, I've become a certified neuro coach, helping, how do you transform your mind? So all that is, I just love helping people get unstuck and find freedom. So there you have it. How's that?
That was a very good summary. I really love the approach, though, because I think so often we are really linear, and we think, I just want to diet and lose weight, or I just want to stop thinking negative thoughts, or I just want to spend more time with God and in my word. But the way you're approaching it is, it's all connected. We're all of those things are part of our being. And so you're not just going to help us tackle one aspect of our being. We're going to do a whole thing, a whole transformation. So that's
Now, when we talk, I may just talk about weight, but when we get into the coaching and stuff, there's going to be other stuff that happens. So don't tell anybody, but that's kind of how it works,
I gotcha. So coaching, we can talk about that first. So you have Martha Fry coaching, right?
Yeah.
Someone signs on with you, and walk us through what happens. What is the process? If I'm going to call you up and say, Martha, I need help, is it people usually reaching out to you because they want help with weight? Is it people reaching out for all different things? Walk us through that.
Yeah, well, it kind of depends on where I know you from.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I know you from church, that can be anything. I speak at our church and stuff, so that could, that the gamut comes with that, of people just wanting coaching for different things. But if I've kind of met you online, it's going to start with health. And really, like a discovery call. Are we a good fit? Kind of what are your needs, and then how do I work with people? But I really feel like in the New Testament, in Mark, it talks about that we always say a 3-part being, but we're really a 4-part being. The Bible says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. So your heart, that's like your spirit. That's the part that's going to live forever. So love the Lord your God with all your heart. Mind, that's your intellect. Your soul is your will and your emotions. And then your strength is your body. And so really we're going to, how do I heal? To really walk in freedom, all 4 parts have to be healed. And so we're going to start with the body part. But here's the thing. You hold your body holds toxic emotions, and then any toxicity that it brings in. So let's say you eat something toxic that's not good for your body. What your body will do is it'll grab onto it, and it'll either flush it out. If it can't flush it out, it'll wrap some fat around it, tuck it away until your body can get rid of it. It does the same thing with emotions. There's a book out called The Body Keeps Score. And so what ends up happening is, let's say you're having toxic emotions, and it's about to overwhelm your adrenal, like it is getting bad. So what your body will do will grab onto those emotions and just tuck it away. And really what happens is, that's when people have a hard time losing fat, and they're like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm like, well, let's go to the emotional part then, because your body is protecting you, and it's holding on to what it feels like are some unsafe emotions. And so even in, like, let's take Christianity out of it. Or the Bible out of it. If you go do a yoga class, they're going to do these hip openers, and they're going to say, if you feel like crying, just let it out. Why? Because our hips hold very toxic, stressful emotions. And so when you open up your hips, you may all of a sudden be crying, or this memory may come back, or stuff like that. And so as you start to lose weight, emotional things are going to come up. And so again, let's take the Bible out of it. If you go have gastric bypass surgery, you have to meet with a psychologist before you. First of all, you have to lose some weight. I don't know why they do that, but you have to lose some weight. Then you have to meet with a psychologist because they know you're going to lose fat so fast that the emotions that come out of that is going to feel overwhelming. And then third, they're going to give you an antidepressant because they know you're going to lose fat so fast. The emotions are going to just come flooding out and you're going to be overwhelmed and feel depressed. And so they just go ahead and give you the antidepressant. So, yeah. So,
Wow, I never knew that.
Yeah. Once you start losing weight, then you've got to come right back and work on the mindset and the emotions because they do start happening.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you bring that up because I think a lot of people just think, okay, I'm going to eat healthy or I'm going to work out. And I really like that everything that you do encompasses the idea that it's 4 parts. Yes. Like it's so much more, like your mindset is involved in that. And there's so much more than just eating right and exercising. If you want to see a change, you actually have to make it. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah. And here's the other thing that people don't realize. So you can, like I'm going to lose weight, and you've got a will, and it'll get you through 2 weeks, maybe a little longer, but about 2 weeks. And then what happens is our minds love to be safe and familiar. So after about 2 weeks of just like, I'm going to plow through this, your mind starts to really pull you back because losing weight, eating different, making changes. Why are we eating that? Doesn't feel safe and it doesn't feel familiar to your mind. And so if you don't know how to change your mindset, your mind starts pulling you back. Your mind starts saying, this is unsafe. You're going to die. You're going to starve to death. You start having all these weird, I can't do this. This is too hard. And it's just your mind doesn't feel safe. This, where you're headed in losing weight isn't familiar. And so your mind will start self-sabotaging you unless you know how to overcome it. So most diets last how long? 2 weeks, because that's how long we have the will to go, and then our mind kicks in.
And is that the whole neuroscience part of it? Because that part really intrigues me. So can you kind of like walk us through kind of what you do to help your clients with, especially when it comes to coaching, with the neuroscience part of it? Because I have no idea besides what you said, kind of what all that entails.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's super interesting. Like I have for years, get done declarations on my podcast. I have declarations. That's a great way to change your words, change your mindset and all that kind of stuff. But what I have learned is a couple of things. What you believe, what you hear yourself say is what you believe the most. Now, most people would be like, no, that's not true. But what we end up doing is we repeat to ourselves what people have spoken over us, but it's us. So you believe what you hear yourself say. So if you can change what you are hearing in your head, if you can change your words, you don't need anybody else to change your mindset. Now I'm a believer, so I have the power of the Holy Spirit to help me, but, and so I believe so that's where declarations come in. I say declarations are like a 2-year-old. If I don't know how to speak life and life-giving words over myself, I need somebody to give them to me so that I can do them. The other thing with neuro coaching is it takes 67 days to carve a new path in your brain and get rid of the old one, like a thinking. Like, so let's say let's just say you've had this pattern of I'm not worthy. So we're going to start working on, no, you are worthy. And why are you worthy? And so, but at day 21, which everybody says, 21 days to change a habit. No, what happens at day 21 is both thoughts are now there. You have this new thought of I am worthy, but you also have the old thought of I'm not worthy. And so as you keep going up until 67 days, at 67 days, if you're doing the declarations and really working on that thought, you will get rid of the old thought and have the new thought. So it is a process. We want to just be like, hey, I was positive today. Well, that's awesome. But it is like 67 days, of really like mental focus work. And, where did the thought,
And now,
I will say this, not only you've got to, like when I work with people, let's say you were to say, I'm not worthy. Well, what some counselors do, and I mean, it's just whatever, like it doesn't mean they're bad, but they would say, so you don't feel like you're good enough. But if you really want to help somebody change, I've got to say back to you what you say. Because that I'm not worthy means something to you. I can say, oh, that's so terrible. You feel like you're not good enough, but those aren't the words you said. So you can easily dismiss those. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's really listening to what people are saying and using the words they are using.
Gotcha. And so I don't want to like take too much away from your business, but does that kind of like include, like daily affirmations that somebody would tell themselves, or like, I guess, do you offer exercises that people would do every day to kind of work through changing their mindset? Okay.
Yeah. There's like, and then there's a way you need to do. I mean, I don't mind. I mean, like if somebody learns something from this, that is awesome. But the other thing, because you've got to hear yourself say them, we do a lot of, we'll do declarations for different affirmations for different things and stuff, but you also have to record yourself saying it and then listening to it. So like I have recordings for different things and stuff. There's one I listen to in the morning. There's one I listen to before I go to bed, but it's me saying it because I believe what I hear myself say more than anybody else. So not some people will read them in their head. No, you got to say them out loud, and recording. Now, if you want like bonus points, record it and say it along with the recording or repeat it after. So you're hearing yourself saying it, you're saying it. Like that is just all the bells and whistles are going off in your mind.
I love that because I do daily affirmations, but I think it's a totally different thing to hear myself say it and then follow along with it. I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like voice memo, record it. And then there you go. And, it's important when you listen to them, first thing in the morning, right before you go to bed, because as you go to bed, the last thing you intentionally are focused on or thinking about is what will, rattle around in your head. And so if you're, and so there's certain things you want to be telling yourself, like, finding out what you need to hear before you go to bed. But here's what I always tell people, start somewhere. Like, you can't go wrong. You can be more intentional, and especially if you're having some mindset issues, but start somewhere. Don't get in this perfectionism. Like, I don't know what to listen to before I go to bed, like do something, So, yeah.
Okay. I have a question. I want to back up just a little bit.
Yeah.
So, your decision to help women find freedom, I know a lot of that was based with what you shared, your journey with your skin issues, right?
Yes.
But then how did you, from that point on, say, okay, I journeyed through this. Now I would like to help women. Like, what made you, I guess, pivot and say, now that I've done my journey, now I want to help others? And also in making that decision, so how do you go about, for lack of a better word, marketing yourself, right? You just don't say, hey, Courtney, I could help you with that. Like, what do you do? What did you do?
Yeah. So, and I share this is in my book. I share this all the time. I just don't like to open a podcast with like, hey, but part of even when I was a kid, I was sexually abused. And so part of the eczema, the mindset, because your skin, like let's just go down a deep rabbit hole, but your skin issues tell you something that's going on emotionally. So eczema, it's on your skin, it's on the outside. So that represents either, you're like a constant irritation, And it's also a protectant. Like I felt unsafe. And so my skin is telling me you don't feel safe because it's the outside of me is breaking out. So anyway, I mean, I could go on for days. If you have stomach issues, you deal with, you're disgusted at somebody. But anyway, okay, that's a whole nother conversation. But, so with that, I think and I just feel like that's just kind of one of those things, like God's call on my life is to help people. And so as I healed, I don't know, it just kind of seemed like to be out of the overflow. And I think the other thing is hurting people hurt people, healed people heal people. So as I healed, I could be talking to somebody and I would be like, just maybe from a word they said or something, I'd be like, oh, she's been sexually abused, and then you kind of give them a safe door to open. And for somebody who's been abused and they don't have a safe place to share, when you crack the door, it's like, you know what I mean? They're like, oh my gosh, you're safe, Yeah. And so that's kind of a little bit how that started. At our church, I started leading connect groups. The very first connect group that I led, this is super interesting. The very first connect group that I led, I chose all ladies that I knew because I knew I was going to share my story of sexual abuse. I wasn't used to sharing it. I wasn't comfortable. And they were friends, everybody I knew. So as we went through this kind of healing freedom curriculum, like everybody, and part of the curriculum is you share your story. That's part of healing, is when you share your story. All of them, like, these are my friends. And they're telling me, like, one girl was like, she just, she said, well, I've had an abortion. And I was the worst leader in this moment. And I was like, how did you not ever tell me? We've been friends forever. And she said, Martha, I have never told anybody until right now. And everybody around the table, these are grown women with kids, and some of them adults, were carrying secrets that were killing them. And so I think that even I was like, oh my gosh, it's almost like this, we've got to do something. There's ladies out there carrying secrets and there's not safe places to share them. So how can we create safe places for ladies to share so that they can be healed? And so that, I don't know, it just kind of started,
I love that. That.
Yeah. And I think it's the same thing with eating. My heart goes out to people who just feel, we carry our weight on the outside, and I have a picture of me preaching, and no joke, my jacket flew open. I mean, it's a few years old, and I have like the muffin top showing, and I'm just like, oh. And I was overweight. I mean, my face is round and stuff. And, you're just always trying to cover up or hide, or, you don't feel your best. And so, when I realized, like, wow, there are things we can do. Food doesn't have to be our God. We don't have to bow down to our stomach. I want to help women realize this. So, I just love helping women find freedom.
That's so amazing. And something you said just made me think, we'll segue a little bit into the podcast, because I was listening to one of the episodes recently, and you had talked about how, train your body to eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full. And if you train yourself to do that, and then you find yourself reaching for food, now you can say, okay, why am I reaching for this? And I never thought of that before, because I like to eat to make myself comfortable, or if I'm stressed, or sometimes if I'm bored, I'm like, what do we have to snack on? So, it really struck me, because I know, myself included, I know people who really struggle with weight and weight loss because they can't control their eating habits. And it's not as simple as just refrain from eating that thing. There's something deeply emotional there that you are trying to fill with food. Am I right?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, like, one of the girls I was working with, I said, when you know you're not hungry and you're walking to the refrigerator, just start like, what am I feeling right now? And I just remember her coming back and being like, oh my gosh, I just realized I was angry about something. And so, then it's like, then there's tools that, okay, let's walk away from the refrigerator and let's kind of, what am I angry about? And there's tools to kind of help figure that out. But yeah, I mean, it's like, and you can be skinny and think about food all the time. Like food becomes an idol. Like, when's my next meal? Like, we have these shows and we watch them, so I'm not judging, but that all they talk about is food and how much food can you eat in 30 minutes? And can you cram this whole hamburger down your gut, and then throw it up? I am just like, oh my goodness, we are consumed with food, and there's, and here's the other thing. When you eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full. When you really look at the Word of God and you eat God's way, first of all, God does not have a bunch of rules. We love rules until we don't. You know what I'm saying? Like just how many are like, just tell me what to do. I want to check it off. And we love that with food until we don't. And so it's like when you look at the Bible and you eat God's way, you have to be responsible for your choices. You have to. So like the other night we were at a wedding and I took cake over to my seat and somebody came up and they were like, "You're a health food coach. What are you doing eating cake?" And I said, "Because I eat cake. Like I can, It's like, I'm at a wedding. Call me if you want coaching. But like, it's like, okay, if I'm hungry or if I've saved room for cake, I know all the skills on how to eat it and how not to, let it dominate, blah, blah. But I'm going to, because let's be human. If I tell you, you can't have cake, what do you want?
Cake.
Yeah.
We all want cake. We're like, okay, where's the, I got to get to the grocery store because I need cake. And, and we have these cheat days. So I hate that. Like, what you speak over yourself matters. So I'm going to have a cheat day. So the only time we cheat is on our taxes, our spouse, or on a test. Well, none of those are good. None of those are good. And yet we justify our eating on a cheat day. Well, what if we just learned how to eat when we're hungry, stop when we're full? And like, there is so much to that. I know I'm making it sound simple because you do have to you have, our taste buds love to taste. So the size of your bite matters. How fat, your God made us. It takes us about 20 minutes to feel full. So you got to know how God made your body so that you go, okay, I need to slow down a little. So there's a whole, I'm making it sound, so I shouldn't say, there's like 7 little principles to help you do that. But then I eat what I love, and lose weight. So why not, So did I answer the question? I think.
No, you did.
I saw a rabbit and was like, hey, let's go,
No, you did. Sorry. Mom, did you have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just curious. What was the driving force to start the Weight Loss with God podcast?
I think it was, honestly, I think because there is so much confusion around weight loss. And I was on that hamster wheel. And so it was like, okay, I'm going to do keto, and then, but then I would be like, well, I want cake, or I want this, or so then I was having cheat days and I was like, forget it. This isn't working, and then it was, I'm going to do, okay, I've probably thought about being a vegetarian. And if I ever got super sick, I'd probably go all whole food, but I do meat, but I also do raw vegetables and I love juices. And so I think just going, okay, here, let me answer your question. Here's where it got. I am like, God is not a God of confusion. This is ridiculous. I'm trying to lose weight. I signed up for Weight Watchers. And then now if I look at anything and they're like, track your macros, I'm like, that sounds like math. I'm out. I'm like, what is a macro? What is micronutrients? I know they're little greens, but, and so it's like, I'm like, God's not a God of chaos and this is chaotic. So this can't be of God. So what's God's way? And so that's really when I started going to scripture going, okay, God, how are we supposed to be eating? How did you make our bodies? Because if there were a bunch of rules, you would have put them in your word, but you didn't. So how are we supposed to eat and enjoy life? And it says, eat, drink, and be merry. So, so that's kind of how that came about.
Okay. And how long have you been doing your podcast now?
The podcast hasn't been long, maybe 6 months or so.
Okay.
But
Good for you.
Brittany, the thing I meant to, but on there, at least, so about every other podcast is like a teaching or something like that, and then a declaration, because I was like, I just want people to have different words that one may hit you. I'm like, take it, write it down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Find some words and stuff.
Exactly.
So it's, on why to be healthy, how to be healthy, and declarations and all the things. So yeah.
Oh, she said it. All the things.
All the things.
She said it.
All the things.
I wanted to ask you, because eczema runs in our family, and I've heard this before, that what you eat, like I've always heard it was like your intestinal lining is what caused it. And I've heard from other sources that it's what you eat. And some people think, you can't heal it and you can only just use steroids and topical medicines and maybe pills to solve it. But you solved it by fixing your diet and your mindset and your health overall. Could you kind of share just a little bit of what you found out, information you found out that helped heal that?
Absolutely. So I went to this, let me show you the fun story. So I went to this naturopath doctor and she ran some tests. And so she came back and she said, okay, we can heal your eczema. I mean, it can be gone. And I'm like, I will do whatever. Like it, it was bad. I won't describe all the oozing and all that fun stuff, but it was bad. So I'm like, I have kids. I'm not like a teenager. I'm like, they were like, you'll outgrow it. It was getting worse. I wasn't outgrowing it. So I said, okay, I'll do whatever. And she's like, okay, so, no sugar. And I'm like, I'm a sweet tea drinker. I'm thinking like, what? And then she said, no bread. And I'm like, oh, okay, what? I'm still just like, okay, I've heard that before. No bread, whatever. And then she's like, and then, no milk or milk products. And I was like, okay, I don't. And then I was seriously, I was like, wait, is cheese milk? Yeah, cheese is milk. Does that mean I can't have cheese? And so by the time, and then she gave me a bunch of supplements. So basically what had happened is those things feed different bacterias and candida and different things like that. And you get an overgrowth and then your gut lining gets injured and you have what's called leaky gut, which there's a lot of, if you even look it up just kind of generally, there's a lot of issues from leaky gut because bacteria and stuff that should be housed in the lining, candida yeast, which should be kept in your gut, gets out in your system. And so our bodies eliminate through our bowel movements, our sinuses, or our skin. So if my sinuses and my bowel, everything's all overwhelmed, it just starts, all the bacteria and stuff it's got to get out. So it just starts pushing out through the skin. So I went to a health food store. I cried my eyes out on the way there. And I was like, I can't do that. I can't live. I'm like, oh, I'm having a victim pity party, And I just felt like, God's spirit said, do you want to be healed? And I was like, yes, I want you to like Shazam, boop, miraculous healing, And he was like, no, we're going to go on a journey. And so there were like, Matt and I went out to dinner one night and this is all in my head. I'm like, there is nothing on this menu that I can even have. And I'm kind of like praying, I had an angry prayer to God. And he was like, yeah, there is. And I was just like, well, it's not fair because Matt gets to order some meat. He ordered something slathered in cheese and I'm having and so I really began to learn like, oh, I can eat. It's maybe not just what I want, Now I can eat pretty much. I mean, I don't do processed foods because I can feel like once you get healthy, your body helps you stay healthy. So like if I ate something super processed, my body instantly feels bad. And I'm like, I don't like feeling like this. So, you kind of like now if I drank sweet tea, I would be like, oh my gosh, that is so sweet. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't crave those things. You just got to give yourself time and space to get it out of your system. But I am a full believer that you change your diet and then you got to build back up your system through supplements. You can heal. I see these little kids with eczema. I am like, please, you know what I mean? Like get them off milk. Ice cream is my kryptonite because it's sugar and milk. So sometimes I'm like, you know what? I just want ice cream. I guarantee you tomorrow I'm going to wake up with a little breakout somewhere, you know? And every time I do, I'm like, I'm never eating ice cream again, you know, and stuff. So like for kids, and it would be interesting. I haven't studied a lot of like when babies are born with eczema, but it would be interesting to know the mom's diet. You know, she probably had a lot of candida and bacteria growth and stuff that she passed on to her baby. And you just need to do some cleanses and, you know, certain baths and stuff like that. And you can pull all that stuff out and be great and good to go and not have to thin people's skin through steroids.
Oh, yeah. That's the worst.
Yeah. There's certain places that are thin. I started a couple of years ago, I started doing liquid collagen, and I can tell a difference in places that were thinning, being a little thicker, you know? So I'm like, yes, you know, but again, supplements are what you got to build your body back up from, you know, eczema and stuff. But I am like there, you know, if what you ate caused you to get sick, then you can, then if I change what I eat, can my body, you know, will that empower my body? And I'm a firm believer in yes, you know.
Yeah. So it's so cool that you talk about that, though, because my husband and I, we just finished the 21-day fast with the church, and we do it every year.
Yeah.
But this year, like, I'm a huge coffee drinker and I love sweets. But this year we were like extra strict with the fast. And after the 21 days, like, I didn't really have a craving for coffee. And even when we made our first pot of coffee, I had a half a cup and I was like, well, I'm okay. I'm good. And it's like, just give your body the chance, right? Like 21 days is not that long. I'm not sure how long it actually takes for your body to like get all the toxins out so that you're in a healthier place. But, you know, 21 days isn't that long to commit to for, you know, health for the rest of your life. But even now, I'll eat, I have a lot of Girl Scout cookies in my house right now because I'm supporting the community, guys. I'm supporting the community. Okay?
Jealous.
I'm supporting the community.
Jealous.
Anyway, and I'll go to have a cookie and I'm like I cut one in half. You know those Samoas? They don't call them Samoas anymore, but I had to cut it in half because I was like, this is just too sweet for me. So I can say that it's very true. Once your body gets used to not consuming those things, it's not as difficult to say no to it.
Right. And Courtney, I'm glad you said that. That's one thing I do when I first start working with somebody, because people, if you've been an overeater, you eat whenever you want to most people have never even allowed themselves to feel hungry. So that's like a journey of learning that. So what we do is we start off by just cutting everything in half. So if you're used to having 4 cups of coffee, okay, we're going to go down to 2. If you're used to having, you know, whatever, you just cut everything in half. That's where we start, you know. Yeah, I can eat a French fry now and I can taste the grease I can feel the grease on my tongue. So then I'm like, and I'm good, you know, so I allow myself the freedom, but then I'm like, okay, I'm good, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a wise approach to be practical. Don't just quit cold turkey. You have to, like you said, let's cut it in half, because that's a sure way for someone to fail by asking them to do something so drastic like that. So I like that approach.
Yeah. Well, your brain won't let you, if you do it cold turkey, it'll give you about a 2-week willpower. But then after that, your brain is like, this doesn't feel safe. This doesn't feel, I have somebody right now that's doing it's what I call like the 5-day drop. And the first day is kind of intermittent fasting. It's a gentleman. He is like over 300 pounds. So, you know what I'm saying? Like very large. And he was like, I can't do the intermittent fasting day. Like he was freaking out. And I said, that's okay. Then just start with day 2 where you're doing more, you know, the eating plan of day 2. And I'm like, his brain was already freaking out that he was and telling him he couldn't do it. And I'm like, it's not even like you eat dinner. It's skip breakfast and lunch and there's things you do all during the day. It's just not food, but his brain. And I just said, it's okay. Let's get safe. You need to feel safe right now. Because his mind was like just going nutso. Yeah. So, yeah.
So I have a question.
You overwhelmed?
No, I have all these notes here. I have all these notes here. It's been so very insightful. My question for you is how are you doing it all? Right? Because I think that Courtney and my mom and I, we're in the same boat of, we're the type of people who are like, oh, let's start to learn how to do this. Let's add this to the pile. Let's just keep doing things. And we've had this conversation before about getting overwhelmed. So how do you balance all of it and still be like this bright beam of positivity and energy that you are?
So I think it's seasons to start with, I don't have kids at home right now. And so it's like what, so it's looking at your life and saying, okay, what is the most important thing right now? And when we had kids, I was a stay-home mom. I worked at our church, but it was like, I told him, I said, I can work, but I'm going to have select hours. I'm going to, do this or that. We homeschooled our kids. And then, so what I had to choose to do was, because I was working, we used our paychecks, like we hired help, because I'm like, well, I can't clean the house and do all this and do all, you know what I mean? So you go, what do I want to do? And what's my priority in this season? I think, look, there's a cat. We can tend to,
Sorry.
we can tend to think this is forever and ever, Well, in one school year, your kids will be older, more, they can take on more. They'll have, like, you can do more then, And so, a lot of it's just, like that. And you have to, like, if you talk about music and secular music and songs and TV shows and movies, I'm like, yeah, I don't know, because I'm like, that's not a priority, because I'm like, I'm going to be in bed so that I can get up early so I can work out, so I can work on my coaching, so I can, things like that. So sometimes people look at you weird because you don't do all the things that they do, but so you learn to say no. It's just like eating. You learn to say no. So honestly, once you kind of learn once you learn the kind of weight loss with God principles, I can take them. We can apply them to your finances. We can apply them to your time management, because it all boils down to choices and being responsible and not playing the victim and poor me and all that kind of stuff. So did that answer your question?
Yes. No, it definitely did. It just reminds me of what you said with eating and going to the fridge, of like, stop eating when you're full, and so stop filling up your plate when it's full, and prioritizing. No, it definitely answered the question. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
And I think it's interesting if you really did a time audit to go, like for me, I started realizing, especially posting on social media, it can take 5 minutes or it can take 2 hours. The 2 hours means I got distracted scrolling. I did this. Oh, I forgot. Oh, look at what, so I've even learned to set timers for things. Okay, you've got 15 minutes. So if I know I've got 15 minutes, but I need to get this thing posted or whatever, like I'm like, focus, let's go. And then you can reward yourself by, okay, then I'll give you 5 minutes, or when you get done with all this stuff, you can go scroll and look at all the homesteaders, but, so it's kind of the same thing, like setting timers. Where do I lose time? Why am I procrastinating? Why don't I want to hit play? Why don't I on the Facebook lives and all that kind of, so it really, we can lie to ourselves and distract ourselves and be like, oh, I was going to do a Facebook live, but you didn't. You got fearful and it felt unfamiliar and unsafe, and you let your brain pull you back to what felt like safety instead of pushing forward and just going for it.
Yep.
So it becomes a mindset thing again too.
All comes down to mindset.
All comes down. If we spend enough time, we'll be like, what are you thinking? What's behind that?
Exactly.
But the Bible talks about mindset all throughout it. Speak those things that be not as though they are. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. What are you thinking of? Think about what's lovely and true and excellent and all these things. And so when you look at it, the Bible has a lot to say about our mindset, and us changing it.
And we can change it, because I think so often, especially my experience has been, well, I can't help it. I can't help that I think this way. I can't help it. But no, that's that victim mentality. Like, this is happening to me.
Yes.
But no, you can take charge, and you can change your mind. You really can.
Yeah.
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 And if you love that kind of stuff, it's the science of epigenetics. You can change your mind.
Science of epigenetics.
Epigenetics. And it is like where you physically rewire your mind.
That is amazing.
You physically rewire your mind. So yes, you can change your thinking and your mindset.
Change your mind. Wow. So let's talk real quick about your book. So you have a book. The title is Moving Forward, Letting Go of Stuff That Will Kill You. So talk to us about that book. What is the premise, and when did you write it? Why did you write it? Tell us all.
So the premise is it's on forgiveness. And the reason I wrote it is when I was going through a season of just anger and all these underlying emotions. And it came from my sexual abuse and stuff. And I was dealing with all that kind of stuff. Really, what happened? Okay, here's what happened. Like, what happened? What happened is when my daughter turned 9 years old at her birthday party, her 9-year-old birthday party. I just remember this. We were singing Happy Birthday, and as we're singing Happy Birthday, I had this like, oh my gosh, she's 9 years old. There's no way she would ask for somebody to sexually abuse her, because I was 9. And, when you don't understand that whole world and you don't have anybody safe to talk to, you think, well, somehow I must have asked for this. Like, somehow I must have let him on. I don't know. Anyway, our thinking can be so weird. But when she turned 9, I was like, what? There is no way, so that just sent me on this journey. And I found different teachings, great biblical teachings on forgiveness, what it is, what it's not, and then how to walk it out. And so from my journey of walking it out, I was like, people have got to know that it's not just forgive, People used to say, you need to forgive those that have hurt you. And I was like, okay, yeah, no, I don't want to, or I don't feel different. So I thought you had to feel a certain way, and I didn't feel any different. And so it's my whole journey. And I also include so by the time I wrote my book, I had already worked with a lot of people, led some freedom groups and stuff like that. So it's other people's journeys of forgiveness and freedom. So it's not just like, you don't have to, they're one of the very first stories that I just love. It's a young man, he's older now, but a young man who was sexually abused as a kid, and hurting people hurt people. And as a kid, he became an abuser. And he just was like, he found freedom, and he said, I want to help others who have in the same boat that I was in. So his story's in there, a story like of a divorce situation, like just all these stories of people, and then biblical, what the Bible has to say about it. It's very like what it is and what it's not. Like, you don't have to feel like forgiving. You're never going to feel like forgiving, because you have to be hurt to need to forgive somebody. And when you're hurt, you don't feel like forgiving. You know what I mean? So I just kind of go through all the emotional, imagine that, all the emotional, physical, spiritual, mental, all the 4 parts of our body in the book. And so it's really a how-to. I really wanted it to be like, when you got done, you were like, I know how to do it. I didn't want it to be just motivational, even though I think it is motivational. I didn't want it to be just motivational.
Yeah.
I wanted people to walk around and be like, because that's how it was for me. When I learned, it was like, these are the steps. Now you have to walk them out, but this is how you can do it, kind of thing.
And I think forgiveness is a tricky one, because you can forgive someone of something they did, but then what they did has an impact on the rest of your life. So there's a continuous forgiveness every time it comes up, every time you're reminded, every time it has an impact down the line. You have to forgive that too. So it's not just a one-time thing, it's a process.
No. Yeah. Oh yeah. And I often tell people, when you start, especially if you've kind of buried it, and and then I'm working with them, and we're going to bring this up. It feels like it is a full on color movie, like 3D, like in your face, but as you forgive, as you take the steps, it just kind of becomes this black and white memory in the background. Can I pull up every incident? Absolutely. But it doesn't define me. It doesn't own me. God works all things together for my good, for our good. So he's using it for good. And so, he redeems, he restores, all those kind of things. And so, yeah, but you're right. I mean, it doesn't. I've had to work on, you talk about, why do I have to work on my mindset? Because I have a trauma mindset, and it makes you think weird. Like, so for anybody out there listening, they'll totally get this story if they were sexually abused. I remember standing around in college. Was it college? No, it was high school. And okay, this was back in the 80s. So, people were promiscuous, but a little bit more private about it, and stuff like that. It wasn't like, hey, I slept, you just weren't that like, And so there's some girls standing around, they were talking about, somebody who had slept with everybody kind of slept with a bunch of different people or so. I can't remember. And I just said, oh my gosh, for real? Like if I was going to be sleeping with that many people, I'd at least get paid for it. Okay. That made sense in my trauma brain. All the girls in the circle looked at me like I had two heads. And I remember being like, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. And, but I wasn't, but I just knew them. Then I got to speak, to a group. It was a home for girls who had been sexually abused. So these are teenagers who, by choice, they were there to, coming from kind of pretty rough situations. And when I said that in that room, they got it. They were all like, oh yeah. And I'm like, my people. Okay. Thank you. So, but that's because I had trauma brain. And so if you don't have trauma brain, that is the most bizarre thing in the world. But if your brain's traumatized and you, in that way, you're like, yeah, I get that,
Yeah.
So.
Oh, wow.
Everybody's trying to recover from that statement. Sorry.
No, I thought I was thinking the same thing. So I guess, we've all got a little bit of trauma brain.
I know, right?
Okay, I've got a question for you. Do you have any advice that you would like to share with our listeners? I know we talked about a wide variety of things, but if you just had some advice you could share with our listeners.
I would say, good grief, that's a loaded question, but let me think. I would say get help, for something. You won't need it your whole life, but if you're having trouble with the way you think, if you're, if you have like eczema or leaky gut or, and don't be afraid to think outside the box, and then also I would say there is a spiritual component to us, and so you can't ignore the spiritual, and so just kind of like dig into all four parts of those. We're not going to spend forever here on earth. Where are we going to spend eternity? Like kind of wrestle with that, figure that out. Why do you have what is it? Some of the gut issues, And so I just think like, to not be afraid to just keep searching. The Bible says, if you seek me, you will, it says a lot of things. Oh, call unto me. The Bible says, call unto me and I will answer you and I will show you great and unsearchable things that you don't know. So just call out to God and just be like, God, I don't know how to parent. I don't know how to parent. I'm at the end of my skill set. I don't know how to be married. I'm at the end of my skill set. And he won't always just Shazam, bam, miracle. He'll be like, great, let's go on a journey together and he'll walk with you. So I think just don't give up. Just keep pushing and seeking and you will find him. And then he's the answer. So then you'll find the answer.
That's great advice.
I love that. All right. So my question to you, Martha, we talked about a lot of things, but goals for this coming year. What are goals that you either have, with your coaching or with your podcast? Share that with our listeners.
Yeah. So right now I'm in the midst of putting a whole program together. So, coaching, and so it's a whole thing. And so I am in the midst of writing and recording and putting all that together. So that's a big project that I'm working on. So that'll be, but the goal is to have different levels to help people at different stages and all that kind of stuff. So that is right now, that's my overarching project that, when it gets done, then we'll set another goal, but that's it.
We'll check back in with you to see how you're doing
Exactly.
then. I love
And
it.
I still like I'm speaking and I do some traveling and stuff like that. But that is the project that I am like, let's go. This is, kind of the next big project that I'm working on.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Excited to see what's next. Oh, that's awesome. So, Martha, before we end things tonight, could you let our listeners know where they can find you, how they can reach you, all your social media handles?
Yes, absolutely. So I try to keep it really easy. It's just marthafry.com. No E, just F-R-Y, marthafry.com. And then my Instagram, Martha, I think it's Martha Fry. Like if you go to my website, marthafry.com, you can click on everything there. And then the podcast, you can probably search Martha Fry. But my Facebook name is Martha Wilbanks Fry. Isn't that weird how you get these things in your brain? But but it's weight loss with God. I know because, there's weight loss God's way, but I'm like, no, it's not just God's way. My program is I don't want to just help you lose weight. I want to empower you to lose weight. Like empower you through the word of God, empower you with a relationship with God, empower you to lose weight and get healthy. So it's weight loss with God.
Weight loss with God.
So
Perfect.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Just followed you.
You got a new follower. Oh, Martha, this has been such an amazing conversation. I had so much fun tonight. Your passion for health, your faith, and your dedication for empowering others, it truly shines through in everything you do. So thank you so much for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me. I had so much fun. You guys are amazing.
We're so happy you were here. And
Thank you so
to all our listeners, if you've been moved by Martha's wisdom and insights, I encourage you to connect with her on social media. Check out her podcast, Weight Loss with God, and her book, which is Moving Forward, right? And explore the wealth of resources, all the things that Martha has to support you in your journey to better health and well-being. Remember to like, share, subscribe to our podcast. And for more uplifting conversations like this one, make sure you tune in. Until next time, we are the Wayward Lasses, reminding you to keep it real. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks for stopping by.
Stay classy.